Welcome to News Round, a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. The headlines. Justice Olukayode Ariwola sworn in as the acting Chief Justice of Nigeria following the resignation of Justice Tanko Muhammad. Organized labor movement to hold one-day nationwide protest over insecurity as you strike. Senate confirms 7 persons nominated as ministers by President Muhammadu Buhari. Plus, NATO formally invites Finland and Sweden to join alliance. That's News Round in view. We begin News Round from the judiciary, where there's a new acting Chief of Justice of Nigeria to take on the role till further confirmation by the NJC. Is Justice Olukayode Ariwola. Following the resignation of Justice Tanko Muhammad over Hill Help, Justice Ariwola was sworn in by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Council Chambers of the State House, Abuja.
Justices of the Supreme Court converge on the council chamber for the swearing-in of a new acting Chief Justice of Nigeria, Chief Justice Olukayode Ariwola. A few hours after Justice Tanko Muhammad resigned his position as the Chief Justice of Nigeria on health grounds, President Muhammadu Buhari swears in another 3 years after.
I, Ariwola Olukayode, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, protect and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so help me God.
The new CJN takes the judicial oath in an acting capacity. During the short ceremony, the president thanks Justice Tanko Muhammad for his immense contributions to the development of the judiciary and confers on him the second highest honor.
I hereby bestow on him the national honor of the Great Commander of the Order of the Niger, GCON. We shall uphold the constitutional provisions on the rule of law and the principle of separation of powers.
The president also urged the judiciary to live up to expectations.
I hereby invite Honorable Olukayode Ariwola, JSC, being the next most senior justice of the Supreme Court in acting capacity pursuant to Section 231, subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution, as amended. I want to admonish the justices of the Supreme Court to always remain faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Our nation is approaching a critical general election in 2023. The judiciary must not do anything to fail the ordinary people of Nigeria, which may make them lose confidence in the judiciary.
Justice Ariwola, who was born on August 22nd, 1954, hails from Oyo State. He earned his law degree from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, in 1980, and a year after he was called to the Nigerian bar. He kicked off his career as a legal officer in the Oyo State Ministry of Justice and stayed in the role until he moved into private practice in 1988. He was appointed a judge of the Superior Court of Record in Oyo State in 1992, and in 2005, he was appointed a justice of the Court of Appeal. He became a justice of the Supreme Court in 2011. The 68-year-old acting CJN comes on board days after 14 justices of the Supreme Court criticized the former CJN of mismanaging their welfare, among other things, raising the critical question of whether or not controversy brews within the sector.
There is no controversy in the Supreme Court. We are one with the Chief Justice, and that's why you heard the President said his Lordship is disengaging on the grounds of ill health.
Justice Ariwola takes over in acting capacity for the next 3 months, pending his confirmation as a substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. From the presidential villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
It's a case that was originally instituted in the United Kingdom but has now found its way to a Nigerian court for access to what's being described as a missing piece in the puzzle. Justice Nnamdi of the Federal High Court Abuja has ordered the National Identity Management Commission, Nigerian Immigration Service and other relevant agencies to release the certified true copy of an alleged minor's biodata to former Deputy Senate President Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice. Justice Nnamdi gave the ruling following an originating summon moved by Ekweremadu's counsel, Adeboyega Awomolo.
The senior lawyer of the former Deputy Senate President, Mr. Adeboyega Awomolo, is here at the Federal High Court in Abuja to get an order that will facilitate the criminal case faced by his clients Ekweremadu and his wife Beatrice Ekweremadu on alleged organ harvesting at a magistrate court in London. One would have thought that the courtroom would be filled due to the nature of the case, but that, however, was not the case. Seeking the order to strike out the name of the fifth defendant, a prayer which was granted by the judge. The senior lawyer further told the court that all the defendants have been served with the court processes. He said further that the defendants had written letters indicating that until his client's application was granted by the court, they will not be able to respond to his request. In a short ruling, Justice Ekwo granted the prayers of the lawmaker, satisfied that the defendants had been served and looking at the averments in the application.
The gentleman called himself or gave himself 50 years of age, whereas all the official records of government, the official records of banks show that as at 2019, 2020, he was 21. Also, it's more than 21 now. So it is only right and proper for them to educate and inform the British authorities of the correct age of the gentleman. But the truth of the matter is that under the Constitution, our own Constitution, Federal Republic of Nigeria, they are entitled to be given facilities to defend themselves. And that right, inured to them under the Constitution, can be availed anywhere in the world. So they have now applied to Nigerian authority to give them records that gives them innocence or that depict their innocence in the allegations of bringing a minor. But the truth of the matter is that the British authority may not know. So if we obtain just photocopy and send it to the British authority, they will ignore it because whatever it is, as good as the paper on which it is written. But here, they will give us certified true copies. The court has made that order that they should give us certified true copy of this process.
In the application, the lawmaker and his wife had sued the National Identity Management Commission, the Nigerian Immigration Service, and 4 others, praying for an order for the defendants to supply documents that will establish the victim's true age.
And still on court stories, the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, will be spending more time in DSS custody after his bail application was denied over gross abuse of court process. Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court Abuja says Kanu continues to litigate on issues that have already been ruled on and advises that if he feels aggrieved, they can approach the Court of Appeal on the issue of bail.
The detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, is back at the Federal High Court, Abuja, for the ruling of his fresh bail application. Seen in high spirit, is received by his legal team and family members. The courtroom is pretty scanty due to strict restrictions of access. The day's proceedings begins with the ruling of Mr. Kanu's bail application. Dismissing his application, Justice Bintan Yako ruled that the IPOB leader has not provided sufficient reasons to warrant the court to set aside its order. Justice Nyako says she was not satisfied with the reason the IPOB leader gave for his failure to appear in court for the continuation of his trial. She says it's an attempt to continue to litigate on issues that have already been ruled on. She further held that though a court could vacate a previous order when confronted with a cogent and verifiable reason, she has not been given any, neither has she been given any reason to set aside the order. The trial judge notes that from the records of the court, Mr. Kanu was represented by his lawyer on the day his bail was revoked, likewise his sureties, and has never been denied fair hearing. Justice Nyako, however, adds that the defendant is at liberty to refile the bail application at the Court of Appeal. However, Nnamdi Kanu's counsel, Mr. Michael Zekome, argues that his client did not jump bail. He adds that they have approached the Court of Appeal.
The bench warrant she had issued in 2019 was wrongly issued because Nnamdi Kanu did not jump bail. You jump bail when you leave voluntarily. Nnamdi Kanu was enjoying his bail, fulfilling all the conditions granted by the court, until the 14th of September 2017, when Army, under the pseudonym of Operation Python, invaded the home of Eze Kanu.
Speaking on the day's proceedings, the prosecution accuses the defense of stalling the case.
Various applications of the defendant has stalled the proceedings of this case. My Lord noted that today's application, the ruling that she gave today, made it the 20th application, interlocutory applications that defense counsel keep bringing.
The case has now been adjourned to November the 14th for mention and report on the outcome of Kanu's appeal at the appellate court.
The organized labor movement in Nigeria is planning to hold a protest on the state of the nation to call the attention of the government to address the country's worsening security situation, the lingering strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, and the unending energy crisis. Speaking at two separate conferences in Abuja, both the president of the NLC and the president of the National Union of Local Government Employees decried the worsening security situation in the country and asked the government to act.
This conference by the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress is mainly to brief journalists about the resolutions of the labor leaders concerning the state of the nation. The focus here is the growing insecurity in the country, the rising cost of energy, as well as the ongoing strike in the education sector. The leadership of the organized labor movement says it will hold a nationwide protest to call the government to act.
For now running formats, the children of the poor have remained at home. Today, as we speak, diesel is selling for more than 800 naira per liter. There is no way this situation can be allowed to continue. So I think there is an urgency in addressing this issue. And therefore, Central Working Committee decided that there will be a one-day national protest to call the attention of government to resolve this issue immediately.
The labor leaders also criticized some state houses of assembly that are yet to pass the Local Government Autonomy Bill, a situation that the president of the National Union of Local Government Employees had at a separate conference called on state lawmakers to prioritize.
Abia and Kogi actually voted in support of the full autonomy of local government, legislature, and the judiciary. And I want to use this opportunity on behalf of NEC to commend their state houses of assembly and urge other states to follow suit, and that our action will also be activated in every state now to follow up the state house of assembly to remind them that these documents have been there for more than 1 month.
We call on all state house of assembly across the country to pass local government autonomy bill. And we're also appealing to House of Representatives and Senate members who are also representing their constituency to go back home using this period, to go back home and galvanize people's opinion and also prevail on the various House of Assembly for quick passage of local government autonomy bill.
The organized labor had in March this year staged a protest at the National Assembly to demand the autonomy of the judiciary and that of the local government before the bill was passed. They will be hoping that the proposed protest will send the right message to the relevant authorities to take action.
When News Round returns, Senate confirms all 7 ministerial nominees for cabinet. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. The Senate has approved the confirmation of the 7 ministerial nominees sent last week by President Muhammadu Buhari. All 7 nominees scaled the final hurdle during the screening and are on their way to joining the president's cabinet.
The ministerial nominees, accompanied by friends and well-wishers, making their way into the Senate chamber.
We have the first.
They are to be screened by these lawmakers for ministerial positions after President Buhari forwarded their names to the Senate for confirmation.
With our tradition of screening ministerial nominees,
in what has been a long-standing practice, President Buhari did not attach the specific ministry each nominee, if confirmed, will be leading, a situation which federal lawmakers have criticized in the past.
For screening before us,
the first nominee, Ikechukwu Iko from Abia State, answers questions on finding solutions to unemployment in the country.
I will advise the federal government to ensure that they establish refinery in the local community where they exploit all this crude oil. If they do that and begin to introduce modular refineries in those various communities, particularly Niger Delta community, the issue of employment will be checked.
After a lawmaker draws the attention of his colleagues to Mr. Iko's participation in the compulsory National Youth Service Corps, the Deputy Senate President offers an explanation.
Mr. President, the law is very, very clear. And there's nowhere, Mr. President, in those requirements where the requirement for the possession of a certificate of discharge from NYC and or an exemption is required.
Nominees speak on their experiences in improving revenue generation and offer solutions to the ongoing impasse between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU.
Understanding that our mandate was to attract foreign direct investments into Nigeria by improving the business environment, we took a number of concrete steps to make life easy for investors who will be coming into Nigeria. For example, in the past, it could take months or even weeks before somebody who applied for a license could get approval for a license. We set a definite timeline and said it would only take 7 days.
My advice would be that government and ASU will have to come to a compromise. And through this, we'll be able to solve this issue of ASU strike once and for all. And I want to also appeal. Yes, I know the importance of budgetary provision. So I want to appeal to the Senate that when the budget is being made for the coming year, that there will be adequate provision for education sector so that some of these needs that the ASU members are asking for, ASU Union, will be able to be met.
A former member of the House of Representatives, Mr. Goodluck Opia, was asked by the chamber to take a bow in accordance with its tradition of extending such privilege to past members of a National Assembly. Done with the screening, the Senate confirms all 7 ministerial nominees.
Congratulations to all of them, and of course, congratulations to the Senate for starting and completing this task.
Linda Akibe, Channels Television News.
A number of Catholic priests held a peaceful protest during the funeral procession of one of their colleagues who was killed by bandits over the weekend in Kaduna State. The victim, Reverend Father Vitus Burugu, who was the chaplain of the Catholic community at Kaduna Polytechnic, was killed on his farm at Kujama in Chukun local government area of Kaduna State. On the sidelines of the funeral held at the Queen of Apostle Catholic Church, the Archbishop of Kaduna Archdiocese says the security situation in the country is very troubling.
This is Reverend Father Vitus Burugu, the Catholic priest who did not make it to his 51st birthday because he was killed by bandits on his farm at Kujama in Chikun local government area of Kaduna State.
And Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb.
A few days later, his body is being conveyed on the street as he journeys to his final resting place. Overwhelmed by the loss, his aged mother almost slumps. Family members come to the rescue. But it's not just a funeral procession, it's also a protest as Catholic priests make a case for their lives. The leadership of the Catholic Church in Kaduna State said incessant killings promote despair owing to the loss of the sanctity of human lives.
I think it's an understatement to say that Nigerians are traumatized. Nigerians are at the brink of losing hope. People see no reason why they should live now, given what is happening in our country. Whole families have been destroyed, source of livelihood destroyed. A lot of people do not see any reason why they have to live because they have no cause to live, because of what is happening. And so, talking about the way I think I feel devastated. Devastated because within 1 year, I am bearing three priests.
The cleric believes the situation puts Nigeria at a precarious position and calls for a decentralized security structure.
This is what state police is all about. That people within the area who know the area, are empowered by the government with the necessary equipments to be able to safeguard their people. And they would do it with wholeheartedly, knowing that if it fails, they are also involved. There are people that are involved. I dare to say, if anybody is looking for evidence of a failed state, we have one. If a sitting governor, he's not the first one. A couple of days ago, the governor of Zamfara clearly said, I call out his people to arm themselves, to defend themselves. Before him, the governor of Katsina State, Masari, said the same thing.
The killing of this priest, like many others, should not be seen as a norm, but an anomaly that should remind the authorities that condolences are no longer enough.
And finally on News Round, NATO leaders have formally invited Finland and Sweden to join the alliance, a day after Turkey dropped its objections to their membership. The traditionally neutral Nordic countries made their bids to join following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. NATO leaders meeting in Madrid also agreed formally to treat Russia as the most significant and direct threat to the allies' security.
Today, leaders have endorsed NATO's new strategic concept. And it is published as we speak. And this is the new strategic concept. The current one was agreed in 2010. And this is very different compared to what we agreed back then. It makes clear that Russia poses the most significant and direct threat to our security. The decision to invite Finland and Sweden to become members demonstrates that NATO's door is open. It demonstrates that President Putin did not succeed in closing NATO's door. NATO's door remains open. And it also demonstrates that we respect the sovereign right of every nation to choose their own path. So we, of course, respected Finland and Sweden when they decided to stay out of NATO for many, many years. But then we also welcome them and respect their decision to join NATO.
And that's News Round. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Teniola Shibowale. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.